Welcome back to the Success Finder podcast, and we're going to talk about the intrapreneur. There's entrepreneur, intrapreneur. So you've heard of both, or you've heard of one, but we're going to talk about the intrapreneur. We all know an entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. Now here, real quick, I struggled with the word entrepreneur for years. I looked at it, the first company that I built and still have today, successful, 12, 13, 14 years, however long it's been. And I'm like, well, how does this make me an entrepreneur? How many people have entered this arena, this domain, and are successful? Like anybody could go do this. And so I really held myself back in where my belief was of my entrepreneurialism. Anyways, that's side note. So we know that entrepreneurs are individuals who create new businesses, and we bear the risk and rewards. We have a different risk tolerance from time to time. Entrepreneur, they're commonly seen as innovators, a source of new ideas, goods, services, and business or procedures. The art of entrepreneurship is defined as the act of starting and running your own business, or a tendency to be creative and wish to work for yourself in your own ventures. Now, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole of how certain people call themselves entrepreneurs. I'll leave that one to you. I've probably actually done an episode on it. But there's a new individual stepping out in peripheral who may be one step ahead of the rest of us. We present for your consideration the intrapreneur. The intrapreneur is much like an entrepreneur with the same appetite for innovation, talent for anticipation, and drive to bring new ideas to the market. But what sets this hybrid apart from their entre counterparts is that they have devised a way to avoid losses and failed prevalence and instead take advantage of an employer's benefits. Now, I am not blind to the aspect that now that intrapreneur is reliant upon the entrepreneur's successes and failures, and there is something inside of that which we can again talk about at a later date and time. But I want to continue down this intrapreneur path because I think it's really important, especially with what we're building with the Success Finder and entrepreneurs finding their way in there. More people than ever before are working from home. No surprise there. In the past, being able to work from home would usually mean having your own business, but today, there are so many different ways to do this, and new roles are being carved out to fit every ever-changing climate all the time. An intrapreneur is kind of like the halfway point between being an employee and an entrepreneur. It's a relatively new term describing somebody who works for a company but takes total ownership and responsibility for a certain section of the business. This is the part that I love. Rather than applying to an existing role, an intrapreneur will often be hired for their skills, personality, and values. Their position and tasks may change and develop over time. So, their salary is also different from that of an employee, because they earn based on performance rather than a set of monthly wages similar to an entrepreneur. This means their income may fluctuate and they're responsible for how much they make and directly benefit from the work they put in. An entrepreneur's role can be very independent. I just thought of one of the most amazing entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at the same time. And I'm not going to throw their name out there, but I'm just like, man, how this individual takes charge of what he does inside of a company and how relevant this really is. Sorry, I just went off on another side note, but they're amazing people. However, this doesn't mean they don't work as a part of a team. Although there is usually less of a hierarchy system in place than a traditional company, there are always more experienced colleagues to learn from and a whole community of like-minded individuals to bounce ideas off. That's where the Success Finder is able to flex some serious muscle. I'm flexing muscles right now. Big muscles. But on a serious note, if you don't like to feel like a cog in a machine, or that your passion and ideas are wasted in a traditional role, but don't want to start something up from scratch right now, becoming an entrepreneur may just be the perfect option. Intrepreneurship also offers a lot of balance, a balance of responsibility while also having a team to rely on when needed, a balance of financial ownership without total control, and so on. There's only one way to find out, but there are hundreds of reasons to try.